And now, your official TigerBait live show with Mike Scarborough and Buddy Songy starts now.
Different when your plans will work. You must have come out of a link that didn't work.
All right, everybody, welcome in another edition of TigerBait Live. We got a big one tonight. I think it's we're kicking in a whole other gear. Ole Miss week. Got a couple of the lower echelon non-conference games out of the way, and I think there's a little bit more pep in everyone's step because it's Ole Miss on the road, Oxford, 2:30 ABC. And so we're going to take all your questions and comments till 7 o'clock, and I think we're going to have a lot to discuss. Breaking it all down, Blake Baker's defense versus Lane Kiffin's offense, and in reverse, Joe Sloan versus their defense. And Sage Ryan in the backfield. Lane Kiffin was asked about him earlier and what he liked about him in the portal, and he didn't really get into much detail. But BK was asked a similar question about Sage Ryan on the teleconference today. And but we'll get in all that. Welcome in, buddy.
Good to see you, Mike Scarborough. As always, hope everybody doing well. A little bit of a shower here. The pattern has been the last couple of weekdays. We've had a little bit of rain, but we're kicking strong. And here we go again, folks. Another big statement game. You know, Ole Miss has won this game the last two times in Oxford. I succinctly talked about it a couple times. LSU's up 49-40 with 8 minutes left 2 years ago. Jaden Daniels in that offense. And Denbrock calls a delay, a swing pass to Caleb Jackson. Hits him right in the hands. He drops it. The problem with that is it stopped the clock, and Ole Miss finished the game and won 55-49. And so once again, we get back to that thing, got to finish games and got to shorten the game when you want to. But I've got three keys on defense, Mike, that everybody's talked about. The first one is you don't want these guys with too much mustard on the hot dog. When you sack somebody, when you knock them on their butt, when you have a TFL, don't get up with all those gyrations. They're going to snap it every 16 seconds. So Blake Baker's got to get his guys be focused, but also celebrate when you get on the sidelines. None of that nonsense after big plays. So you're going quick. You got to be ready. Secondly, you still have to show people in this country that you have successfully figured out a way to stop the run-pass option with the quarterback. And Ferris State, I'm finding out about it. This Trinidad Chambliss, never heard of him before this year. Yeah, he's going to get the start, looks like. But this guy is a blur. You better wrap him up. But once again, three new defensive ends in Pyburn, Jamari Butler, and, of course, Patrick
Butler
Payton.
graded out the highest last week.
Butler played great. You expect him to play more this weekend. But you've got to make an impact with that run-pass option. And then, of course, the other thing, you got to have a plan for both quarterbacks. And, of course, I love it, Blake Baker blitzing as much as he has. But Mike, Lane Kiffin is the master of when you blitz, all of a sudden you're coming in there and he dumps it off and it's a big play. Mike Archer, who was one of my guests today after you, former LSU head coach, we talked about it. There are going to be times where 5 or 6 guys jumping around, acting like they come, and then they back off. So what a great chess match between Baker and Lane Kiffin. You mentioned Joe Sloan. Caden Durham right now is questionable. We'll get an update later on in the week. But you and I were talking. Jawan Johnson has actually had some better eyesight. I don't know what Caden Durham is doing this year, but he's got to run the daylight, not darkness.
It could be that he's just
impatient.
Yeah, over what would you say that? I don't know. He's just over eager or what it is. I think I don't think he's a running back that's got lack of vision. I just think that he's not being very patient. And Jawan Johnson's got the advantage of having been an RPO quarterback all those years at LCA. And so I think he's benefiting from that. And then you got Harlem Berry. So Caleb Jackson, I don't know what more to say about where he's at in his career and where it's going. But you asked me earlier today who is going to get the most snaps. And I tend to think if Durham is healthy, it's going to be even. But I think they've got to be real excited about Johnson, despite 2 games back putting the ball on the ground.
Yeah. All right, let's chop it up. Let's have a lot of interaction. By the way, Casper, I need you to email me back. Of course, he's got a winning T-shirt, and of course, it is released yesterday. We didn't talk much about it today on the radio show, but Ole Miss, Texas A&M, and Arkansas. Look, Saban didn't want LSU on his list when he was still coaching. They got to play Auburn and Tennessee. He didn't want LSU, and a lot of people know that Alabama's coming back here next year. But are you happy with the 3 permanent opponents?
I like them.
Yeah.
And if you're kind of iffy on it or you're missing somebody, it's the way that this thing's going to work is you're going to see them. You're not going to go too many years where you're not seeing an opponent. And, man, when you look at that home slate, and if you're a season ticket holder that from one year to the next feel like you're not getting your money's worth, holy smokes. You're going to have A&M back at home next year, Alabama and Texas at home, plus Clemson at home. That's a phenomenal home slate. So, and I think that's part of the reason why they did it, on top of ESPN money.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So let's chop it up. Let's get some interaction. What are you guys feeling? Listen, with the old guys, and I'll never forget the first time my dad took me to the LSU Ole Miss game. Those days, Mike, you'd get up a guy's face, "Go to hell, Ole Miss guy! Go to hell, LSU!" That was some serious cussing in those days, and it was spicy. Lost a lot of the luster, of course, with Charlie Mack and Johnny Vaught and Dietzel and all that. And Ole Miss still has never been to Atlanta.
No, and what's funny is I think most LSU fans really, really like Lane Kiffin.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, is there any fan base out there that, other than Mississippi State, that hates Lane Kiffin?
No.
I mean, he's good for the league.
If championships were decided by Twitter, Lane would have 3 or 4 rings, but he's already having fun. We can get into the announcement of Landry Kiffin and Whit Weeks dating. I think that came from her side. And then what did you take from when they asked him about it? The Lane Kiffin said, take the over. Or was he talking about their relationship, the number of points scored, or what?
I don't know, but what score did I give you earlier today?
You gave me LSU winning.
34-28 LSU.
Yeah.
So that would be over.
Right.
Yeah.
I said 31-27. And look, it's always a barn burner. Don't freak out. You got a triple header along with other games. Notre Dame, Arkansas to start you off. LSU, Ole Miss from Oxford. And, of course, the night game, the big one, Alabama at Georgia. So, really, the winner of LSU, Ole Miss, is going to take a step forward. Georgia and Alabama. Alabama does have a loss already to Florida State. But we'll find out a little bit more. And we're going to find out if legitimately LSU's a top 5 team come Saturday night.
All right, everybody. Hit that like button, as Fire349 says. Thank you for that. Todd Davis with a Go Tigers. And Fire says, what did you think about Mike Gundy getting fired mid-season? I'm going to be honest with you. I have not tuned in or really noticed what Oklahoma State's been doing the last 2 or 3 years. But it also tells you that they haven't been much of a factor. And if you're not a factor in that conference the way it's set up, it's time for a change.
Yeah, and they were losing some games that they had not.
And I'll be honest with you, I think in most places, I don't care how much you're winning. I think after about 7 years, you're probably tired of a particular head coach.
Yeah, it's not like it used to be. They don't hang around here 15, 20 years anymore.
Now, a guy like Lane Kiffin, I keep bringing him up, and some other guys that have some personality, maybe they can buy themselves a little bit more time. But I think over time, people just get worn down by them.
Well, Gundy really was stupid a couple of weeks ago when they were playing Oregon, and he kept pounding Oregon and Dan Lanning about the fact of how much money they had paid. Listen, folks, Lane Kiffin made a joke about it. Oh, man, they spent the most money on the 3 DBs in the portal. He did the same thing last year. We talked about it. They pushed all the chips, poker chips into the middle of the table. And they choked. They should have been in the playoffs last year. But Gundy, I think, got long in the tooth. And Mike, he'll get the obligatory $20 million or whatever it is on the buyout.
Akeem Batiste, national media has us slipping up on Saturday. I say the offense needs to complement this defense on Saturday. For some reason, I think LSU's offense is going to look pretty damn good on Saturday. It's just a gut feeling of mine. I think that this team's going to elevate. They're prone to do that. They're going to play in a hostile environment, and they're the underdog. I think that all feeds into the narrative. A lot of people questioning how good is LSU because of how bad Clemson and Florida have looked. What is it? Is it 2 points now? 1.5 point underdog?
Yeah.
That's all positive for LSU heading to Oxford. Let me get a super chat real quick. Dane Bergeron comes in. Thank you, Dane. LSU Ole Miss needs to be on Halloween week. It is going to be tough to keep an LSU team healthy enough next year to make it through the playoffs. I'm they sent that order of the listing of who the opponents were, but that's not going to be the order of the games. But who knows when that Ole Miss game will end up dropping in. But
I agree with Dane. This historically has been a Halloween game that weekend, and of course going all the way back when Ole Miss and LSU were historically in the top 5. And of course, it's been a long time since the two teams have been undefeated, but they always played back end of October. So I agree with you 100%, Dane. And I hope you and Dr. Daniels had a great weekend this weekend.
Yes. Dane, thank you so much for that. All right, everybody. We're here each and every week thanks to the fine folks over at Pride Roofing. And let's hear from Mike and Alex.
Hi, I'm Michael with Pride Roofing.
I'm Little Alex.
Have you been affected by wind, hail, and tornadoes on the North Shore? Well, we're here to help.
Insurance claim, no problem.
We also have a new franchise location in New Orleans.
We don't build projects, we build memories.
Though you know Pride Roofing is the official roofer at TigerBait.com.
In fact, notify TigerBait and we'll give you a free roof inspection. And on top of that, you get a free year subscription. Remember to call us at 855-PRIDE-16.
There it is, 855-PRIDE-16. And when you call to get your free roof inspection, say TigerBait. In fact, I've got one of you to set up with a free TigerBait subscription that got one a week ago. And when you call them, you say TigerBait, and they're going to pay for you to get TigerBait Premium for a year. That's a $99 value, and they're footing the bill. Again, like I always tell you, if you've got any other competing roofing companies bid on their letterhead with their logo or their bid sheet, Pride will beat it by $150. And you just can't beat the folks over at Pride Roofing. Location here in Baton Rouge, New Orleans, North Shore, of course, main branch in Hammond, and big everywhere in Southeast Louisiana, Thibodaux, Houma, you name it, they've got you covered if you need anything. Roof repair, a new roof, commercial or residential. And like Buddy always says, the acquisition of Crown Metals, metal roofs have really blown up.
Yeah, great people to do business with. Big Tiger fans. Mike has known Mike and Alex along with myself. Mike's known them for many, many years. Look, they check all the boxes. They're licensed, insured, bonded. Always a free roofing inspection, 1-855-PRIDE-16. But they do it all, get there early. They do it from sharpening the pencil. You're going to be done in one day. And look, they don't spend a lot of money on silly advertising on TV. It's word of mouth. If you could, please spread the word. And, I pointed to Pride Roofing before the Clemson game. I said, you're going to have great pride on the defense. I got to ask you off the top, how many points and how many yards do you think Ole Miss gets this weekend?
Well, I think they scored 28. That's my score prediction.
Okay.
But total yards. Man, that's a good one.
Well, they're averaging 545 yardage, and they're averaging 45 points.
350-ish?
Yeah. I think they could be in the 375 to 400 range. They're averaging 545, and they're averaging 45 points. But once again, let's have fun watching that matchup. Kiffin is going to have some big plays. Got to stop the quarterback and make sure he doesn't hurt them in those RPO plays. But they've got some talent.
This team's set up to defend that.
Yeah, we'll see. But look, in answering the question I gave you, I'd say 375 to 400. I've got 31-27 LSU, so we're very close on that. And the bottom line, Mike,
Watch
is
it end
that,
up being 21-17.
well, and I saw Preston and those guys picking lower scores. But look, these two teams have athletes, and you just can't hold them down the whole time. So there's going to be some big plays, always some crazy
I think
plays.
there's a real opportunity for LSU to go deep if
There's
they
no
choose
doubt
to,
about it.
which
There's
is
no
something
doubt
we
about
haven't seen enough of.
Aaron Anderson, hope you get in the end zone for the first time. Good to see Barry and Brown and Bauer Sharp. I did not know Bauer Sharp. You heard he's going to go out for the track team and be a hurdler. And all kidding aside, that was pretty impressive, him jumping over a couple
He's
people.
done that a few times.
Yes, he did it twice in that game against Southeast.
All right, Dr. John Sibley Butler. And no, it's not your second favorite team. This isn't burnt orange. It's a pumpkin spice. He comes in with a super chat. Thank you for that, Doc. Says this LSU defense is all instinct, reacting quickness. They are not robots trying to make not to make a mistake on film. How do scouts recognize these traits when scouting players, and how do you predict this in a high school player? That's hard to do. I think they evaluate the high school that they're at. How intricate are the concepts that they run at a particular school on either side of the ball, the competition, and just getting to know a kid. Look, they get those kids in meeting rooms and film rooms and talk football. But I know one thing, particularly under Blake Baker, these guys are not overanalyzing anything. They're comfortable as I've ever seen.
Well, and the biggest thing I think we always see, Mike, is your pad level. In high school, you can be a big guy, and you don't have to have techniques. You don't have to have great pad level because you just throw people around. I'm talking about these guys that are close to 300 pounds, throwing around 220-pound players. Bottom line is, I want to see Dominic McKinley. We thought he was going to have a great year. I want to see Ahmad Bro. Now, Jacoby and Gilroy's been playing a lot more than we thought. Good is still very good. Obviously, West Weeks is probable. Tradez Green is going to play. Please don't hurt him again blocking. He's the biggest matchup you got on the whole field catching the ball. Let him catch it. Let Bauer Sharp and Donovan Green do the blocking on the tight end. But everybody's back. Questionable for Caden Durham. Of course, Gabriel Relaford, they're going to assess his situation with the shoulder, and he may have surgery. But here's the other question you have. Ole Miss has given up a ton of yardage on the ground. Do you think LSU tries to shorten this game by using a little more clock with the run game and picking up first downs and maybe shortening that game a little bit? Because Ole Miss is in the hundreds with run defense this year.
I think they're going to try, but I don't know if that's going to be successful.
Got to put a hat on a hat. It's just embarrassing when you watch the film with these offensive linemen. They've got to do a better job of putting a hat on a hat.
Yep. Dr. Butler, thank you again for that. All right, guys, I need to do this one. You see it on the screen, Stroube's. Get over there, 107 3rd Street, downtown Baton Rouge. All of our live shows are brought to you by Stroube's Seafood and Steaks. They pride themselves on a 5-star dining experience at a reasonable price, locally owned with ownership in the building, and they take a high level of pride in the food and service that you're just not going to get from any of the corporate establishments. They feature a full menu of specialty meats, including USDA Prime Black Angus, 100% certified Wagyu New York strip, and they've got a full seafood menu, an incredible in-house made dessert menu. And so book your reservation tonight at Stroube's.com. And please tell the hostess and your waiter or waitress that TigerBait sent you in. And you see it on your screen, Genesis of Lafayette, 3.99% APR for 60 months on a 2026 GV70. That's an incredible deal at Genesis of Lafayette, the premier luxury dealership. They've got the finest cars and SUVs in the region, coupled with the best service anywhere. Genesis of Lafayette has a huge inventory of new and certified pre-owned Genesis vehicles. So for a truly first-class automotive experience, get over to 6600 Johnson Street in Lafayette. Huge LSU fans there. You can shop online at Genesis of Lafayette to see what they have in stock, or call them at 877-856-2961. Please let them know that TigerBait sent you in, And again, there's a reason why they sell more Genesis vehicles than any other Genesis dealer in the state of Louisiana. And you'll be glad that you gave them an opportunity to earn your business. That GV70 and GV80 are absolutely phenomenal SUVs. Dane Bergeron comes right back in with a super chat. He says the spirits of Billy Cannon, Burt Jones, Brad Davis, Tommy Casanova, Warren Capone, and Kenny Borlon will put the Rebs in tears Saturday. Dr. Daniels and I will be in Oxford supporting the Tigers. With all those names, Dane just let you know how old he is as well.
Well, look, and unfortunately, I knew every one of them. He left out Craig Burns and Mike Anderson and all the others. But remember the old days.
Burt Jones was my hero as a child.
Well, look, and everybody,
but not as the LSU players.
Everybody knows there was a song, 1 Second Blues. LSU had the ball deep and had 4 seconds on the clock. And they threw an incomplete pass, and it took 3 seconds. So there was 1 second left. And, of course, Brad Davis slipped out the backfield, caught the winning touchdown, and kicked the PAT to win 17-16. And so Ole Miss obviously felt like they got shafted. Let's talk a little bit about the kicking game. Isn't it nice to see LSU have a punter that can actually flip field position? And, something tells me, Mr. Scarborough, that LSU is due for a return on a special team. So I've got either a punt return or a kickoff return going to the house this weekend.
I'm going to ask you something. When Ramos was back there for that long field goal,
I was, what?
When you saw how short it was, because his leg's better than that.
Should have been.
Was there a part of you that thought maybe that was by design, that they were trying to use it as like a kick?
I don't know what he was doing. Of course,
because his leg is more powerful than that.
Well, yeah, but also Aaron Burrell, if you're going to do that, would have had the.
I'm not going to say he's going to make it.
Yeah,
but he's got enough leg to come close.
Well, it's interesting you bring up that play because, folks, there is a little bit of problem now.
Yeah.
The backup center is DJ Chester. Oh, by the way, he did play a little right tackle because Weston Davis had a bad series, so he got a little right tackle. He got in for Tyree Adams when Tyree Adams got hurt at left tackle. But he's been the backup center, and now look, I'm watching NFL on Sunday, and they don't have targeting. They have unsportsmanlike contact. When they have helmet-to-helmet hit, it's 15 yards in unsportsmanlike conduct. Now, the NFL always feeds down to college. I'm wondering, why don't they have the same rule with the NFL? I'm tired of this targeting. This is the second time already that LSU's had a player. But DJ Chester will be out, so you want to make sure Braylon Moore stays healthy because you got to walk on in Augustus as the backup center. That's an area that they're going to have to recruit better. And, of course, I know Brett Bordelon is going to be a center. But you do not want Braylon Moore to get dinged up in that first half. But another targeting call. I'm ready for them to either do it like basketball, flagrant 1, flagrant 2. Flagrant 1, you get 15 yards, but you stay in the game. Flagrant 2, you get 15 yards and you boot it. I think on both these things, if you had that rule, it would have been flagrant run. But DJ Chester is out for the first half of this game because he tried to make a tackle. I don't know what they did. I guess maybe we'll ask BK about that tomorrow if we get a chance about what the mindset was. What was that field goal, like 60 yards? Or
I thought it was 61, 62.
Something like that is crazy.
Yeah. Let's see real quick. Keystone comes in with a super chat. LSU run game takes huge leap in Oxford. Does it take a huge leap because everybody's healthy? How much of a leap can it make if Durham is not 100% and it's primarily Jawan Johnson and Barry, or a somewhat hobbled Durham?
Well, he was asked on Monday about shortening the game and running the ball to keep the offense of Ole Miss on the sidelines. But I'm a happy camper. Everybody knows there was a way they called plays against Clemson, and then you had a different way to the next two games, and then they opened it back up. LSU should be shotgun, 4 wides, grip it, rip it, throw the football. You set up the run with the pass, but with these stats, they're going to have some runs. Now, here's a good thing. Juwan Johnson's not going to run away from anybody and go 85 yards like Jaden Daniels did when he got loose. But he's also got that vision. And so, he's also more patient, like you said.
But
today.
Juwan's not slow.
No,
I don't know.
He's 4.5 something.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
And it could be good to see Herlin Berry get a couple swing passes and get him back in action. Of course, on the wide receivers, folks, 5 drops. Nuss had 6 incompletions. 5 of them were drops, Mike. And so if Nick Anderson, if you're going to play, you gotta catch the football. Kyle Parker, by the way, expecting to get more reps after what he did, that touchdown Saturday night against Southeastern.
all right, everybody. Please do me a favor. Hit that like button. Please also share this show. Share it on your Facebook feed. Share it on your Twitter feed. Let everybody know. We're going to go all the way till 7 o'clock. And Keystone 24, thank you so much for that super chat. That was very generous of you. Dane Bergeron comes back in with another super chat. Mike, is Tom Ritter's still in the replay booth? If so, that would explain a lot. I think Ritter's been gone a long time. But
well, he brings up a good point, Mike. And listen, I call him the bastard.
Does he go down as the worst ever?
Oh, Jesus, man.
Who was the guy from the 90s that was pretty bad?
Yeah, they had a couple. But I was going to say, back to Dane, going back to old school, it's been since 1959 the last time both these two teams were undefeated. Now, like Dane alluded to, they historically played on Halloween weekend. But back to the replay booth, I'm sorry. I don't have a lot of confidence. Going back to the Clemson, that was SEC referees, I'm not confident that LSU will get a fair shake on Saturday. So do not leave it up to the black and white striped shirts. You don't want any controversy. Boy, that'd be the last thing this Tiger fan base needs to see if you get shafted on a bad call in Oxford.
Bayou Bandits have a feeling that when Perkins isn't terrifying shambless, Weeks and Pyburn will be. There's going to be a lot of things that Blake Baker's going to have to dial up on Saturday.
Kudos, by the way, to Dylan Carpenter. You and I didn't ever know if he would have a role in this team. Listen, talking to Patrick Payton with the media, Dylan Carpenter looks like he's probably going to get some of the reps that Gabriel Relaford is not going to be there. And so did you ever think that guy, you didn't think he'd be a starter, but I was glad to see him got some PT. By the way, Damian Shanklin, a true freshman from Indianapolis, had 2 sacks. Kalaj Cobbins.
That's a good sign for the future.
Yeah, C.J. Jackson. So, but those ends this weekend are super important. You can't let the quarterback get outside. And when he does, you make a decision to hit him, you got to bust him up. And I think that's the great thing about this defense. There's more physicality.
Fire says, Mikey said that John Brady is the best color man in radio, but I think Doug Thompson is the best. Well, to be fair, Doug Thompson's also covering a much better team who's winning a lot of games. Brady's basically been doing colors at funerals.
Well, I know, no disrespect, and everybody's got an opinion, but I will agree with you.
Did you see the image of today's Matt McMahon press conference? There was 3 people in the room.
Well,
had I known about it, I would have been there, but I didn't get the memo.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry. I'm going to take Coach Brady over.
3 times as many for Kim Mulkey yesterday.
I'm going to take Coach Brady on the job he does over Dougie. Just my opinion.
Yeah. I think they both do a great job.
Sure, they do.
By saying that, I wasn't suggesting that somebody else wasn't good.
That goes to show you how great Brady is to do a good job on what he's been having to call the last few years.
Yeah, yeah. And again, we always have to say afterwards, I hope Matt McMahon has great success and he's a nice guy.
Well, I do think this is put up or shut up year for Matt McMahon. I really do.
Yeah, because we got word last week that that doubleheader New Orleans at the Smoothie King, December or whatever it is, first week or so in December, it's the women and the men. The women are going first. So you need to get some excitement going because the last thing you want is to have a somewhat half full arena for the women, maybe 2/3. I don't know how big of a crowd they might draw.
I don't know. Look into this. Do you even remember?
And then they all leave and they don't stay for the men's game.
You reminded me of the old days when Pistol Pete Maravich, of course, you couldn't play as a freshman, so they'd have the freshman game. It would be packed, and then everybody would leave. But When's the last time? Do you even remember in recent memory a double dip with the women and the men? Do you even remember one?
Well, they used to do that.
I know, but I'm saying in recent times, I don't remember.
It hasn't been this century, has it?
No, I don't know.
No. Yeah, Stephen Miller says men's basketball is the third best program in the building. Let that sink in. Yeah, behind women's hoops and gymnastics. What's volleyball doing? I don't even know.
Yeah.
Aren't they rebuilding? I don't know. Barry Barbier, Blake Baker needs to create some sophisticated blitz packages and confuse Ole Miss.
That's what I was talking about earlier.
And he does that.
You blitz, and then you're gonna drop the defensive ends. You blitz.
You see three guys running up to the line, backing off,
yeah,
and then doing it again, and then two of them back off, and one of them rolls. He's got all different.
Look, I love the delayed blitz with the little guy, 11. You remember that sack against Clemson, and I love DJ Pickett came on a delayed blitz, and so he will blitz the corners. But once again, remember, if Kiffin catches you in a blitz, it could be a big play. So what a chess match. Can't wait to see those guys go at it.
Akeem Batiste, Coach McMahon's got to get to the tournament, or it may be curtains for him after this season. It will be. If he doesn't make the NCAA tournament, he's out. He has talent this year. Got to make do with what you have. I don't know if he's got enough talent. We'll find out.
Yeah.
And Dane Burge wants to know why I'm wearing a Texas shirt. No, it's pumpkin. It's not burnt orange. That Sony camera pushes colors.
By the way, I got to give credit to Mike now. Everybody, all these talking heads, Feinbaum and many, many others went crazy, gaga, about Arch Manning. Oh, he's going to do this. He's going to win the Heisman. He's going to do this. And Mike was one of the first ones to say, I'm not buying it until I see it. Oh, by the way, did you hear this quick little story? So Arch, and it's been frustrating for him. Everybody knows that. But he finally gets in the end zone, and they shut out Sam Houston State. But he stands over a kid like, I'm a big badass Arch Manning. You ain't nothing. And everybody's going like, Arch, what are you doing? It's Sam Houston State. Do that against Alabama. Do that against Florida. Do that against LSU or Georgia. And his mama calls him up and said, what the hell are you doing?
Good for her.
Act like you've been there.
Good for her.
So,
and she's right.
I was shocked. I saw that live, actually, and I was flipping back, and I was going like, Arch, I know you're frustrated, but anyway, of course, Texas, as we know, they still feel like they will win this conference again this year, and Oklahoma suffered a big loss. In case you've been on a cruise or whatever, their excellent quarterback, John Mateer, had a problem with the wrist, had surgery today, and he could be out a month or longer. So he'll probably be back for LSU, but they're playing the shootout with Texas in a couple of weeks, and that's going to certainly put them behind the eight ball a little bit.
Yeah. All right, let's see what we got here. Baye Bingo, Mike, do you think Colt Nussmeier will commit to LSU? I think they'll still recruit them. There might even be some suggestions that they'll take two in the 27 year. I think it's easier said than done. And I'll also add to that there's so many different scenarios that can play out at that quarterback spot before you even get to the 27 kids get close to signing day. Certainly you got Pops already committed, but what happens with your current quarterbacks in December? Do they both stay? Does Van Buren stay, but Hurley hit the portal? Does Hurley stay, but wants to see how well he does in spring before he decides to get in the portal, or both? Does Van Buren wait to see what quarterback you bring in from the portal in December? And you would assume if you took a quarterback in the portal that he's a really big timer, that you project to be a starter, and he thinks he can win it, and he competes, and then he doesn't, and then he leaves. There's so many different things that can play out.
Shout out to Michael Van Buren, folks. This guy had an excellent freshman year with Mississippi State. He started 8 games for them, threw for 300 yards against both Texas and Georgia. But every time we saw him at fall camp, other than one day, he had one good practice. Remember when Nuss sat out and he was throwing the heck out the ball. Now, it was against the air, and they weren't having – but he looked better. That was by far the best we had seen him. Oh, by the way, he scored his first touchdown on a quarterback sneak this weekend. I think Van Buren is going to be here, and it made me a little more confident, but he is a little bit small and 6 foot, about 190. But I'm with you. They're going to have to bring in a big-time transfer portal or a quarterback. And then, the other thing, like Haven was leaning towards Florida. Well, Napier's probably going to lose his job. And then you got Arkansas, Sam Pittman. He could lose his job. And so you got a lot of things. It's hard to know. But I kept asking you this every week. Is anybody going to reclassify and come up from 27 to 26? And it doesn't look like it's going to happen unless Pops Houston does that at the last minute. But Nussmeier, I can tell you, he loves LSU. We saw in the stands his mom, his daddy, and Nussmeier watching Garrett and all those games. But now that does complicate it a little bit because most times you're not going to go where somebody else is going to be there. So to get both of them would be a real coup. Going back to the days of Jimbo Fisher when he got Jamarcus Russell and Matt Flynn the same year.
Had Robert Lane committed to it.
Robert Lane did, and then, of course, we know what happened with him.
All right. Dykes Electric, the official electrical company of TigerBait.com. No matter how big or small your electrical needs might be, Dykes is wired for success. If you need a brand new 10-story office building, they can wire that. A 200,000 square foot warehouse that you need built, they can wire that. Expand your existing commercial building, changing out a breaker, whole electrical panel, just a receptacle, upgrading the old light in your own home or office, they can wire all of that. Give them a call today at the number on your screen, 225-216-9180 for a free estimate on your project. And make sure to let them know that TigerBait sent you in, a great local company, owned and operated, huge LSU fans over at Dykes Electrical. And we're glad to have them as one of our sponsors each and every week. And Capital City Grill, get over there on Sunday for their fantastic brunch. Truly one of the best brunch spots in Baton Rouge. And again, 100 Lafayette Street downtown. Probably a lot of you have eaten there for lunch. They got great hamburgers, club sandwiches. It's a great lunch spot during the week. And of course, dinner, they got a great bar area. But the Sunday brunch from 11 to 2 during football season is really excellent. You can see their menu online at capitalcitygrill.net. And please let them know that TigerBait sent you in. And you're going to be too full probably. Get the carrot cake to go. Trust me on that. All right.
Outstanding outside dining. And also don't forget the bar. Really a lot of fun. Very consistent. Girlfriend and her daughter have been over there 5 times since football season started.
All right. Dame Bergeron. Saban called out Arch for showboating. Peyton chirped at Saban for saying that. And Saban responded to Peyton that he had been telling players they weren't good enough for 30 years. Yeah, I agree with Saban.
I did not hear about that, but come on, Peyton. Keep doing what you do. I mean, he's on every other commercial. By the way, I have to say it because we all love Canes and Todd Graves. But if I see Cooper Manning, Archie Manning, Garrett Nussmeier, Todd Graves, and Arch Manning in that commercial one more time, I mean, I'm literally having to turn it off.
Lucky for me, I don't watch enough local TV where I have to see all that
Well,
stuff.
but I mean, it has been, I'm telling you, but look, Todd Graves knows what he's doing. He's hooked up with a lot of people, but if I see it one more time, I'm just going to turn it off.
All right. Dr. Butler comes in with a world record super chat of $300. Dr. Butler, holy smokes, man. Thank you so much. You've always been a great friend of the show, and that's incredible. NIL revenue, as expected, is going mostly for football. Can you believe that Texas is playing Texas Tech in Dallas this weekend in baseball to raise NIL funds during their off week in football? Have you heard of such? Will you send a real Texas shirt?
By the way, Texas is finally coming back to play that game that they owe LSU next year. Mike, you know how long it's been since Texas has played LSU in football in Baton Rouge? 1953. So, but Dr. Butler is talking about everybody spending most of the NIL money on football, and so I think he's intimating.
Well, I don't know what Dr. Butler, when he comes to the Tiger Stadium for that game next year, he's all purple and gold. Has he got?
I don't know, but he'll have a suite. He'll have a suite in the party, and you'll be up there, and you'll have a purple shirt and an orange shirt.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's going to do with that.
Yeah. Yeah, Texas and Texas Tech and Dallas. That's weird.
I'm sorry. Look, we talked about it with Jay Johnson having the press conference in midweek of the Clemson game with all the media going to Clemson. Thought that was bad timing. But to play a baseball game this weekend doesn't make any sense to me at all.
I assure you, Jay Johnson is paying attention to it. And if it looks good and it works, maybe the LSU will do something similar somewhere. Baseball coaches are under the gun. I've told y'all before, just because Jay Johnson isn't out there, they need money just as bad. It's not like, I'll say it this way. There was a lot of information out there for a long time that Jay was covered because there was a local guy that was paying for everything. And that is so not true. So not true. And so he's won 2 out of the last 3 national championships. And because he's done that, I think everybody has expectations that he's going to win it every year or every other year at a minimum. And it's not going to be that easy. And certainly it's a snowball effect, and he's driven. But it certainly is made a lot easier if he's got the NIL budget. And he's believe me, I know sort of a little bit of what he's out doing and doing little speaking engagements and talking to every group he can. Because look, it's true. You've only got so many LSU people with money, and they're all getting hit, and they all know the same people's names. Your football coaches, your baseball coaches, Kim Mulkey, so you don't just think about football, because baseball and the other sports need it as well. Kim Mulkey, Jay Johnson, et cetera, et cetera. Dr. Butler, thank you again for that unbelievably generous super chat. Let's see. Texas Tiger comes in with the super chat. He says, "Go Mike and Buddy, only $10. Will the offensive line get better before the end of the season?" We talked about it on your show earlier today. I think it will. It needs to. If it doesn't get any better, then that probably means that the offense isn't where you need it to be.
It's frustrating when you see Curious Kern a 5-starter, you see Weston Davis a 5-starter, but you just don't snap your finger and become a great offensive lineman. So we get back to this question, and you were one of the first guys early in the season to call out Brad Davis to say, I appreciate what you do recruiting, but you've got to develop. And I think it's hard for the LSU fan base to look in the mirror and admit this, Mike. They've got 5 brand new offensive starters. I know Mubinga played 4 or 5 games when Garrett Dellinger was hurt, but you got a new center, you got a new right guard, you got a new right tackle. Mubinga played 3 or 4 games at left guard, and you got a new left tackle at Tyree Adams. And those 4 that all got drafted didn't have a great year. And so I think it's a legitimate question, but we go back. Can you tell? And I like Alex Atkins. I like what he did at Florida State. And I like the fact that he brought also Solomon Thomas with him. The answer to the question, in my opinion, is, are you going to get something out of Solomon Thomas? He has been hurt, and he's not back practicing yet. Curious Kern. I mean, BK said it from the spring. This guy is physically ready. He lost 15 pounds, but he's got to do the little things. And so they've somehow got to get them to do a better job of all on the same page, communicating. But it's disappointing that they have not gelled yet. I am hoping that they get better. And if you get through this game, then you got a couple more weeks. And, of course, as we know, then you've got that 3-game stretch, hosting Carolina, at Vandy, hosting A&M, and then you have another open date in the 4 games. So it might take until 6 or 7, game 6 or 7, before that offensive line's on the same page.
Greg, thank you so much for that. Texas Tiger is a huge LSU fan in the Houston area. and longtime subscriber to TigerBait.com.
Well received from Texas Tiger. I've seen him on the internet and other places. He's a big Tiger fan and got a great reputation.
Yeah, big insight into softball too.
Great reputation.
Yep.
Tiger.
Brandon Greer with a super chat says, "Awesome show, guys. Sorry I'm late, but what is your opinion on Davis and the fact that BK taking up for him? And second, do y'all think they will pick on Sage? Your thoughts?" I've been kind of shocked why they haven't gone as deep as the personnel, particularly at wide receiver, says. But part of me thinks is the reason why they haven't is because they're wanting to get the ball off in 2.2 seconds. But you've got Nick Anderson and Chris Hilton, and I like what you're doing with Aaron Anderson across the middle. He's pretty much Mr. Automatic, but they need to go deep. But
well, I think he's asking about Weston Davis and taking up for Weston Davis at right tackle.
Is he talking about is he taking up for Weston Davis or is he taking up for Brad Davis?
No, I think he's talking about Weston Davis because BK was asked about that on Monday, and he has given up some plays. But once again, a redshirt freshman guy that was a 5-star. LSU flipped over from A&M to LSU. And look, there aren't many Will Campbells that come in here. And Emory Jones, who you and I know, was a great kid. He didn't come this spring, but he was starting his freshman year by game 3 or 4. But it generally takes a offensive lineman a good year to get acclimated to the size, the speed, the playbook, and all the guys that they're having to block. And so his second question is, do you go after Sage Ryan? And I'll tell you my recipe that I would love to see happen on Saturday afternoon is I'd love to see Caleb Jackson get into the secondary and run over Sage Ryan. No disrespect to Sage Ryan. Remember when people were freaking out? He was going to choose between LSU and Alabama. He was another 5-star, right?
Can I say this about Sage Ryan? That kid wanted to perform. He wanted to be a guy. He didn't want to have issues and difficulties. Nobody wanted to have more success than him at LSU. I think he's a great kid. He stuck it out for a long time, multiple years of people picking on him and message boards and social media were extremely rough on him. I hope the kid has great success. Just not this weekend. Is that okay?
I always thought he should have been tried on offense. I just think he was better avoiding the contact than bringing the contact. And look, we beat up 2, 3, and 8 all last year because it was horrific. Now, Jordan Gilbert
Major Burns a super kid. Every time I see him give me a hug. And I mean, these kids, you think they want to go out there and get picked on and get one thrown over their head?
And we don't get any jollies off when we talk bad about people because we're sitting here. But Sage Ryan could be a liability. And this is interesting that you got Lane Kiffin talking about spending all the money in the secondary. And no disrespect to Sage Ryan, but I damn sure would rather have Tamarcus Cooley and Mansour Delane and A.J. Halsey back there than Sage Ryan.
I think the thing with
I think he's more offensive.
What Sage Ryan is at the high school level, we knew his speed, he was physical. But he had the one thing missing that certainly Corey Raymond, when he does his measurables, Sage Ryan doesn't have. He doesn't have length. He doesn't have the crazy long arms. And I mean, if you're just a quarter of a tenth of a second off, you can't make up for it because you've got a 33-inch dress shirt sleeve length, and you know the prototypical guy's got a 35 or 36-inch sleeve length.
Well, look, he is a good kid, and he did what's best for him. Of course, Logan Diggs also went over to Ole Miss. He's starting to come back a little bit, and of course, the defensive end that will play a little bit. But look, guy accused me of trying to coach a team last week on the show, and I just have opinions. But if you ask me, Sage Ryan should have got a shot at offense. He's allergic to contact. He's not as physical. I'd much rather see 13-0 busting up people than Sage Ryan and Major Burns.
We've got 100 years of broadcasters that talk sports, that give opinions, and aren't coaches.
Yeah.
That's
what we do.
That's what this show is.
You know,
we got a lot of y'all's opinions that we put up on the screen, and those are known as well. Player X, good for you. Mike Sage is a great kid and loved LSU. I'm with you. Wish him all the best, just not when he's playing us. Yeah, Dr. Butler says the same thing. Sage Ryan is a Tiger who stuck it out. Brad David, Mike, have you been seeing Dabo's press conferences? Yes, I have. That guy whines constantly. You want to talk about a guy, when I talk about how there's a 7-year itch or a 7-year a coach has run his course regardless of how much he's been winning. I think they're absolutely sick and tired of him in Clemson.
Well, the first problem that Dabo has is that he did not address the portal issue. And we talked about this a couple of weeks ago. They are a different cult. I don't know if they're as weird as A&M.
But why not be a little bit self-deprecating?
Yeah,
take some of it. Take the heat.
Well, he is now. He is now because they got hammered again, and they're 1-3. But what irritated me is he kept saying we're one play away from this. They got their ass kicked and got shut out by LSU in the second half. And now, granted, I know what he's saying. If we score a touchdown and go for 2 and win the game, you win the game.
But and also get what he's saying what was Clemson before he got there and the number of years where he had them. I mean, for real, his number of wins and the number of years they were in the playoffs and the national championship hunt is unreal. I mean, it's and, buddies say, well, he did it in the ACC. I get it, but it's still in the history of Clemson football. And so, yeah, I get it when he says, y'all want to get rid of me? Okay, because you don't know what you're going to get. What's the likelihood that you're ever going to have that kind of success ever again?
Yeah.
And if you do, how many coaches do you have to go through and hires before you get back there? We can look in between the gaps between Gene Stallings and Nick Saban and Bear Bryant and Nick Saban. And now are they about to have another one of those?
But my point earlier, Mike, was this. Brian Kelly used the P word in year 2. We're not going to pay players to come here. What he meant to say is we're going to overpay. Clemson has not gone all in with the portal. And when you have that hard-headed attitude, no, we're not going to do it. We're going to do it my way. And then you have a rough stretch like this. But, yeah, he's going like, I'm 55. I'm a man. Of course, the guy who said I'm 40 and I'm a man got fired, Mike Gundy. We talked a little bit about that on the show. But Dabo did not address the fact that everybody is doing it. When everybody does it, you've got to do it. Ohio State did it and won a natty. Ole Miss did it last year and should have been in the playoffs. LSU did this year, 18 portals. I bet you Clemson didn't bring in more than 5 or 6 portals. We know they brought in the defensive end that LSU wanted from Purdue. But you've got to spend money and go in the portal. That's just the way the game is going. And so now Dabo, he makes some good points, but yeah, I am sick and tired of that attitude. And he says, look, I'll go coach somewhere else. I think Dabo makes $11 million a year. Yeah. So I don't know who he's going to pay him. But, Mike, all these coaches, they've got the best retirement plan ever. They get fired.
If they fire him,
they got all this money coming in.
Then he gets to go work for somewhere for peanuts.
Yes,
exactly. Clemson's paying him.
Absolutely.
All right. Alumni Hall, everybody. Get over to their beautiful store in Perkins Row. And as I always tell y'all, use the code TigerBait. It will work every time you go in that store and go to the register. Anything you buy, say TigerBait, and you're going to get 10% off. It works online at alumnihall.com/LSU. You get 10% off using promo code TigerBait in the box. And they've got the good stuff, all the great polos, the high-end stuff from Peter Millar, Johnny O, On Reserve, Southern Tide, and much more. They've got all the Yeti mugs and stuff that you want there. And, again, use the code TigerBait, and you're going to get free shipping on all orders over $99. You get the Hall Pass rewards. You get $10 rewards for every $150 you spend. They got the Mix and Match 2 for $38 LSU Champion brand T-shirts, 3 or 4 tables of them in the front door area right when you walk into Alumni Hall. And so get over to Alumni Hall, and please use that code TigerBait. Again, one of our longtime sponsors, and they give back to LSU real big in the NIL space. And your newest Oyster destination in Baton Rouge. It truly is the best oyster spot in Baton Rouge. Get over to Baye's Oyster Bar. It's the old Jolie Pearl, but it's been totally renovated. Spent a considerable amount of money redesigning it. And 315 North Boulevard, the freshest farm-raised oysters from Grand Isle. No mud, no grit, just clean, delicious flavor. And if you're not into oysters, they got incredible boiled shrimp. That turkey brie and bacon sandwich is my favorite. And they've got a classic roast beef po' boy that I swear must have a pound of beef on it. And so fully stocked bar with top-notch bourbon, whiskey, and a massive craft beer selection. So don't miss out on Baton Rouge's newest oyster spot. And again, like all our sponsors, let them know TigerBait sent you over. All right. Brad Gear comes with a super chat. He says, "Did I miss out on the hard launch conversation?" No, we did not talk about. I'm assuming you're talking about targeting. Hard launch.
Like I said, I wish they would go to the NFL rule and take out targeting altogether. I think it's still the most controversial call. Remember charging our block for college basketball? They could never get it right. Do what the NFL does. Don't kick them out. Give them a 15-yard penalty for unsportsmanlike conduct. And I saw this happen in the Saints game or one of the other games I watched. By the way, have your rosary beads. And you are a Saint if you watch the Saints. They are horrific this year. Couple of Amanda tidbits before we get out of here. 1959, the last time these two teams were undefeated, as Dane and I and you were talking. But generally that was because they played in the last October weekend on Halloween. Texas is coming to Baton Rouge next year. They have not been in Tiger Stadium since 1953. So like you alluded to, man, if you are a Tiger season ticket holder, hold on to your tickets because Clemson and all those big home games next year.
I mean, every year it's going to be like that.
And I haven't looked at all of the schedules. There was a lot to digest, but I think for the most part, the only inequity is that you've got to play Ole Miss 2 years in a row over there, but A&M's got to come here 2 years in a row. But for the most part, I thought they did a pretty good job with the schedule, but we knew.
I thought they did a good schedule when Oklahoma and Texas came in. I like the way this is set up.
Oklahoma would disagree with that. They got a much tougher.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Butler would agree that Texas got the cupcakes there. But look, enjoy your Manda products. Don't forget Manda sausage and boudin during the game. And obviously, we are sponsored by Demco, Dixie Electric member co-op. If we have any tropical storms or hurricanes to deal with, go to that Demco Storm Watch. And speaking of hurricanes and craziness, something always
I think they're making fun of us, buddy.
How's that?
Because the hard launch they're talking about is the Weeks Landry Kiffin relationship.
I have made some comments about that. I wonder what was wrong with Witt. Witt, I'm going to give you the F word. No, not that one. Focus. You've got 11 tackles for the year. Your brother's got double your tackles. Come on, man. Forget about all that side stuff. All right.
Yeah, a lot of
focus in.
I'm looking on Facebook. A lot, especially the women. I've seen women LSU fans saying, like, why are they announcing that this week?
Well, it's a distraction.
Yeah.
You know, with weeks, you got to have double-digit tackles this week to show us you're focused. Come on, man. We're going to see 40. And
no, she's a pretty young lady. I'll say that. And,
well, I know that
Walker Howard dated her.
I know
a couple of years ago, and
you saw what happened to his career.
Yeah. But
I don't want to get in it.
But luckily for Witt, he's not in an Ole Miss uniform. So if it goes south, you know, you're not fighting for playing time.
Well, I think the biggest question, Mike, is why was that announced this week? And it does stir up a lot. It goes back to the old days when Donato had that restaurant and he started losing. Everybody said he's over at the restaurant doing commercials and all that, and that hour to play football. But when you not playing like you want and people want, he's only got 11 tackles in 4 games. Now he got tossed in 1, but that's still only 3 tackles a game, 4 tackles a game.
Here's my prediction, because it's the kind of guy Lane Kiffin is. He leans into things. I will be shocked if in pregame stretching and warmups that Whit Weeks and Lane Kiffin don't shake hands or hug or have a big wide grin at each other. Because definitely in post game, well, maybe not if Ole Miss loses, but either way, I just think that's the kind of guy Kiffin is, and also take it he's the kind of dad that wants his daughter to be happy. So,
well, listen, folks.
And Whit Weeks is a great guy.
He's a super young man, and we have a lot of fun with him. And obviously, he had to okay that. Now, I don't know whose idea that was to launch that hard
I know
launch.
for a fact when Walker Howard was dating her, Walker asked him, Lane Kiffin's permission to date his daughter, and he got it.
Well, here's the thing. You got to figure Whit Weeks is going to come up there and try to get a sack and some big plays. But on the other hand, if you blitz and they got the right play called, Lane Kiffin can answer. So great chess match. And he's telling his daughter, hey, don't take this wrong, but we're going to try to get Whit exposed out here and take him long on a wheel route or whatever. He's a super young man, but the timing of it certainly did.
I do agree, though, because I've had some people who commented on Facebook. I hope that the TV cameras don't find her and it turns into a Taylor Swift Kelsey thing all game long, right? I don't want to see that. Travis Wilburn comes in with a super chat. Championships get banners, rings, and trophies. Regular seasons are important, but it's a means to an end. Win the games on your schedule, period.
And the LSU has not beaten Ole Miss the last couple of years.
This series just like LSU and A&M.
Yeah.
The home team wins.
Yeah, and so look, my scenario is that Barry Brown is going to get a touchdown. I'm hoping Aaron Anderson gets in the end zone. Gosh, it would be nice to see Caleb Jackson finally get in the end zone. I like what he did last week. He finally got a few plays and getting his confidence up. We'll see about the availability. We'll have Coach BK tomorrow at 4:45, and there should be some interesting questions. But, man, what a great matchup. If LSU wins this game, Mike, they're 5-0 with 2 weeks ready to get to South Carolina. Carolina has already lost a couple games. Not to look too forward in advance, but you win this game and you beat Carolina, you're 6-0 going playing a really good Vandy team. Everybody's talking about it, but don't be upset. A lot of the nation, a lot of the pickers going to pick the Johnny Rebs with the upset. I like it 31-27, and, it's always something crazy. So don't freak out if there's a safety or a crazy play or whatever. But Tiger fans, I've had many a story told me, listen, that Grove, I've seen cat fights in there, and they say it's great for tailgating. I don't think it's a candle on LSU's rear end as far as tailgating.
No, Dr. Butler comes in with a beat Ole Miss, and that's our show. Hit the like button if you enjoyed it. Again, Dr. Butler, thank you for that world record super chat. Very much appreciate you supporting us. And we'll be back here with our post-game show. Of course, it's 2:30 ABC, so that makes us doing a post-game show 6:30-ish, I guess. We're going to try and go live as quick as possible, and we'll have all that for you. And, someone asked, we went live at 6. I think a lot of people must not have got the notification, but again, if you enjoy the show, please hit the like button. It helps us with the algorithm. And subscribe, hit the follow button. You know the drill. And thanks again to all of you. And thanks to all of you for the super chats. We'll see you guys Saturday. Good night.